The sun beats down on a dusty road, cutting through rolling green hills. A long column of Union soldiers, their blue uniforms stained with sweat and grime, marches with determined but weary steps. Private Thomas O'Malley, his young face smudged with dirt, glances over his shoulder at the seemingly endless line of men, each step bringing them closer to an unknown fate. The air is thick with anticipation, a silent hum before the storm.
In the summer of 1863, the very soul of America hung in the balance. Two armies, forged in the fires of brother against brother, converged on a quiet Pennsylvania town. This was Gettysburg, where ordinary men would be tested beyond imagination, and the future of a nation would be irrevocably decided. Who would stand, who would fall, and why did this patch of earth become the crucible of destiny?
Across open fields, shrouded in the morning mist, Confederate cavalrymen advance cautiously, their gray uniforms blending with the natural tones of the land. Sergeant Elijah Vance, astride his sturdy horse, surveys the landscape with a hawk-like intensity, his hand resting on the hilt of his saber. The distant sound of a bugle pierces the early morning stillness, a call to arms echoing across the fields, signaling the imminent clash.
For Confederates, this was the bold push north, a gamble to break the Union's will. General Robert E. Lee's Army of Northern Virginia, buoyed by recent victories, moved with a dangerous confidence, unaware of the grim reception awaiting them.
A lone Union cavalry scout gallops back towards his lines, his face grim, shouting urgent warnings. Suddenly, the quiet rural landscape explodes into a cacophony of rifle fire and shouts. Private O'Malley, positioned in his regiment, flinches as bullets whistle past, the sudden chaos forcing him to scramble for cover behind a low stone wall, his heart pounding in his chest. This was no skirmish. This was the battle commencing, raw and immediate.
July 1st dawned with a tense calm, soon to be shattered. A Chan encounter, a skirmish over supplies, rapidly escalated into something far greater, drawing both titanic armies into an unexpected, brutal embrace.
Confederate infantry, a seemingly endless wave of gray, charges across an open field, bayonets glinting in the sunlight. Their rebel yell, a chilling high-pitched scream, fills the air as they surge forward. Union lines, stretched thin and battered, begin to waver under the relentless assault, some soldiers falling, others retreating in a desperate orderly fashion towards the town.
The Union, though initially outnumbered, fought with desperate tenacity, holding vital ground on the ridges north of Gettysburg. But the sheer force of Confederate advance threatened to overwhelm them.
Dust and smoke hang heavy in the air over Gettysburg as exhausted Union soldiers, including Private O'Malley, retreat through its narrow streets, dodging stray bullets and artillery fire. Civilians peer from windows with terrified expressions, witnessing the brutal reality of war firsthand. The Union forces consolidate their position on the higher ground south of the town, forming a defensive fishhook shape, digging in with grim determination.
As the first day ended, the Union forces fell back to the streets of Gettysburg, battered but not broken, establishing a new, formidable line on the hills south of town. These were the iconic positions: Cemetery Hill, Culp's Hill, and the crucial Big End.
Inside a dimly lit field hospital tent, Nurse Sarah Jenkins moves with quiet efficiency between rows of wounded soldiers. Her face is smudged with blood and exhaustion, but her movements are steady as she tends to a young soldier's shattered leg. The tent is filled with moans and the metallic scent of blood, a stark and somber contrast to the peaceful night outside.
Night brought a brief, uneasy truce, but the air thrummed with the certainty of renewed horror. Medical tents sprung up like ghastly mushrooms, a testament to the day's grim toll.
The morning fog lifts to reveal the Union line, now fortified, stretching across the hills. Confederate artillery opens fire with a thunderous roar, shells exploding across the Union positions. Sergeant Vance, now on foot with dismounted cavalry, leads his men through a thick wood towards the Union's left flank, their faces set in grim resolve as they prepare for a desperate charge.
July 2nd, the Confederates, seeking to exploit perceived weaknesses, launched furious assaults on the Union's flanks, aiming to break their defensive line. The battle for Little Round Top would become legendary.
Private O'Malley, his uniform torn and bloodied, crouches behind a boulder on Little Round Top, firing his rifle with shaking hands. The air is thick with smoke and the cries of men, both Union and Confederate, locked in a brutal close-quarters struggle. Bayonet charges and desperate hand-to-hand combat rage around him, the line between friend and foe blurring in the chaos.
The fighting at Little Round Top was a desperate struggle for a crucial piece of high ground. Every ride, every troop became a point of contention, drenched in blood.
Confederate soldiers, including some of Eli Vance's dismounted cavalry, clash with Union defenders amidst the gnarled trees of a peach orchard, ripe fruit falling to the ground, splattering with blood and dirt. The fighting is savage and confused, men falling on both sides as they grapple for control of the strategic ground. The intensity of the fighting creates an almost surreal, nightmarish tableau.
Simultaneously, the peach orchard and Devil's Den became charnel houses, places where men fought and died for every inch of ground, under the searing Pennsylvania sun.
Union soldiers, their faces grim and determined, fire from behind earthen breastworks and log defenses on Culp's Hill. Repeated Confederate charges are met with a hail of rifle fire, the attackers falling back, only to reform and charge again. The sheer exhaustion and terror are etched on the faces of the defenders, yet they hold their ground with an incredible resolve, repelling assault after assault. Private O'Malley, utterly exhausted, slumps against a tree, his rifle across his lap, his eyes staring blankly into the darkness. Around him, the battlefield is littered with the dead and wounded. The full moon casts long, haunting shadows across the desolate landscape. He sees a glimmer of a locket in his hand, a small comfort in the overwhelming darkness.
As night descended again, the Union line had bent, but it had not broken. The cost was immense, but the ground was held. Yet an audacious plan was forming in Lee's mind, a final, desperate gamble.
A vast line of Confederate soldiers, nearly 12,000 strong, emerges from the tree line and begins to march across the open fields towards Cemetery Ridge, their bayonets catching the morning sun. The sight is both magnificent and terrifying, a sea of gray moving with an almost hypnotic precision towards the well-fortified Union positions. Sergeant Vance is among them, his face a mask of grim determination.
July 3rd. The third day of battle dawned, and with it, a final, audacious plan from General Lee, a direct assault in the Union Center at Cemetery Ridge. This was to be Pickett's charge.
Union cannons on Cemetery Ridge opened fire with a deafening roar, spewing smoke and fire across the fields. Explosions ripped through the Confederate ranks, sending men and earth flying. The meticulously formed lines begin to falter, men falling by the dozens, yet they continue their relentless march toward the fire.
The Union artillery, waiting silently, unleashed a devastating barrage on the advancing Confederates. The air filled with shrieking shells and exploding shrapnel, tearing gaps in the attacking lines.
The surviving Confederate soldiers, their number significantly reduced, press forward with desperate resolve. They scramble over fences and navigate through the carnage, their voices hoarse with effort. The advance has become a desperate sprint against impossible odds, their formation shattered but their will unbroken, inching closer to the Union lines.
Despite the devastating artillery, the Confederates pressed on, a testament to their unwavering courage. But the final gauntlet awaited them, the concentrated rifle fire of the Union infantry.
Union infantry, including Private O'Malley, rise from behind their defensive positions and unleash a furious volley of rifle fire into the charging Confederates. The two lines collide in a brutal hand-to-hand struggle, bayonets clashing, men fighting with primal ferocity. Private O'Malley, his face streaked with powder, fires and reloads mechanically, watching comrades fall around him.
As the Confederates reached the Union lines, a horrific, desperate melee ensued. This was a high water mark of the Confederacy, a moment of supreme sacrifice and ultimate defeat.
Sergeant Vance, wounded and surrounded by fallen comrades, makes the agonizing decision to order a retreat, his voice hoarse with despair. The remaining Confederate soldiers turn and stumble back across the field, a broken, shattered remnant of the proud force that had advanced. The vast, open field is now a carpet of dead and dying, a testament to the colossal failure of the charge.
Sergeant Vance, witnessing the utter devastation, realizes the charge is futile. His unit, decimated, is forced to retreat, the dream of victory dissolving into a nightmare of blood and loss.
The battlefield, after the retreat, is a desolate, heartbreaking expanse. Bodies lie scattered amidst the destroyed artillery and broken equipment. Private O'Malley, his eyes wide with shock and exhaustion, looks out over the carnage, the magnitude of the loss finally sinking in. The victory feels hollow, tinged with immense sorrow.
The battle was won. The Union held. But at what cost? The fields of Gettysburg were now consecrated ground, stained with the blood of thousands, a horrifying testament to the price of division.
Nurse Jenkins, now utterly spent but still working, tends to a Confederate soldier in the makeshift hospital, offering him water. Her eyes meet those of a Union soldier lying nearby, a shared understanding of the profound human cost of the conflict passing between them. The lines of war blur in the face of shared suffering, transcending uniforms.
In the aftermath, the weary survivors of both sides began the grim task of tending to the wounded and burying the dead. Nurse Jenkins worked tirelessly, her compassion a beacon in the darkness.
A vast crowd gathers at the newly established National Cemetery in Gettysburg, their faces somber. President Abraham Lincoln, his tall, gaunt figure standing on a platform, delivers his iconic Gettysburg Address. The scene is one of quiet dignity and profound reflection, the collective grief palpable, yet imbued with a sense of hope and renewed purpose for the nation.
For months later, a nation still reeling from the wound of war gathered at Gettysburg. President Abraham Lincoln stood before the graves, not just a dedicated cemetery, but to redefine the very purpose of their struggle.
In Gettysburg National Cemetery, each one a stark reminder of the lives lost. A lone figure, perhaps an older Private O'Malley, now bearing the scars of war, walks slowly among the graves, his hand gently touching a headstone. The sun sets, casting long shadows, symbolizing the passage of time but also the enduring legacy of the battle and its profound impact on the nation.
Gettysburg became more than a battle. It became a turning point, a symbol of sacrifice, and a powerful reaffirmation of the Union. It was here, in this quiet Pennsylvania town, that the enduring spirit of America found its truest, most painful voice.
Every story is more than just words. It's a door that can only be touched by imagination and the heart. One story, one world. No plane needed. No magic. Just open the page and never say you're just reading. You're moving from one realm to another. Because wherever a story is read with the heart, a new world is always ready to welcome you. One story, one world. See you across the word. Here, from Story Door.